The following program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision. It's time now for the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Here's your host for the program, Joseph J. Zoppi.
Hello, welcome to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, a real estate investor, consumer advocate, author, and managing partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You could reach us at templarcashforhouses.com. That's TEMPLAR cashforhouses.com. That's one word. Or you could call us at 973-240-8593. Again, that's 973-240-8593, and we could answer any questions you may have, or you could email us from our website. Again, any questions, or if you want something discussed on the show, we'd be more than happy to look into that. For first-time listeners, my company is a real estate investment firm. We buy houses for cash. We purchase apartment buildings. We do joint ventures with other real estate investors. We loan money for rehabs and provide transactional and gap funding. We work with individuals that want to invest with us in single-family houses up to apartment buildings. We do not speculate, and we're very protective of our money and our investors' money. I'm not a real estate agent. We're not a brokerage. But I have individuals on staff that are agents that could sell your house through the traditional multiple listing service. This show is going to go over everything there is about real estate and those things that impact real estate. We'll talk about our rehabs, some of our investments, what went well, what did not go well, and how we learned from them. We'll talk about the economy and interest rates. We'll discuss trends in the real estate market. Real estate is one of your biggest investments, so it's important you know as much as possible about it. I will provide you with my opinion. It's only my opinion. I ask everyone to do lots of research and just do research, and make sure that, again, when you read an article, you understand that it's based on the slant of what the author wants to portray for that particular article. It's usually never balanced where it's even. So you got to understand that. And again, just because an author says something, again, these individuals are writers. They don't necessarily are in the market. They necessarily do not invest. So you got to understand that. So anything you see, you got to make sure that you understand where they're coming from, what their track record is, so on and so forth. And even, with their track record, you don't know if it's real or not. That's the problem sometimes. But again, just do lots of research, ask lots of questions. Same thing with references, ask lots of questions. What one person might like, the other person might not like. So that's very, very important. I want to do a shout out to some of my listeners. Paulette, a famous crossing guard from Livingston that I talk about every week, and Timmy from Cedar Grove Water Department, as well as Jonathan and Amy. I want to say hi to you guys too as well. I'd like to also thank a number of investors that have provided some investment for some of my deals. So specifically, I want to say thanks to Paul and Cindy. Thanks a lot, guys, for everything. Again, if you're interested in selling your house fast for cash, please give us a call. We'll come in, we'll give you an offer. If we agree to a price, we could set the you could set the closing date. We'll buy it as is, and you don't have to worry about. You could leave anything you want. If you want to move everything out, you could, or you could leave just about everything. Like I said before, I had a woman up in New Milford. Basically, it was beginning of the year, she had a suitcase with some stuff in it and left everything else. And that was it. So she was moving down to Florida with her brother, and she had a suitcase of some summer clothes, I think, I assume, and maybe some light jackets or whatever, and that was it. Everything else was left there. So, you could do it either way. So you don't have to worry about that. And what we do normally is we contact initially the veterans associations, and then we send everything also through some churches and synagogues in the area, and then sometimes to Goodwill as well. But Goodwill is really a for-profit organization technically, so that's like a last alternative. So we rather give it to someone that really needs it. And a lot of times we even clear out things from the kitchen. There's good canned goods and things like that, so we'll always donate them to a food pantry or whatever the case may be on that. Also, I'm looking for apartment buildings, preferably 50 plus units, hundreds even better, but I'll do smaller ones depending on the deal. So if you have anything, please give me a call. If you know anyone, please tell them, or you could give me their name. And again, I'll give you a finder's fee. I'm very discreet with that, so you don't have to worry about any of those things like that. Again, please give me a call on those things. Last week I had my show. It started early, so it didn't start at 10 o'clock. I think it started at 10 to 10. So I had some listeners jump in at like right after 10 o'clock, and they listened to me for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I went to a commercial break, and then it was for another 15 minutes. I was done by like 10:20. So they started the show early, and there was, I guess, some mix-up with the scheduling and things. So it wasn't that I was only talking for a couple minutes and then there was a commercial. So please understand that. You could listen to my broadcast also on WMTR. It's recorded, so you could always listen to it there. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is sometimes people ask me the question, I've said it before, about my name. So I always use my middle initial. And the reason for that is there's another individual that has the same name as mine, and he's a real estate agent. So I'm not an agent. And so I want to make that clear, like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, but I always use my middle initial a lot of times just to distinguish myself accordingly. Same thing with my eldest son, so he has a middle initial of B, so he has my name as well. Originally, when we had him, traditional Italians, the first son is always named after the father of the grandfather, basically. And unfortunately, I lost out because I was going to name him by my father's name, which was Vito, and that was nixed. And then he always also went by Victor, and that was nixed. So I said, okay, let's do Joseph, and that was okayed. So he got the name Joseph. But so he likes that name, and I think it's a great name. I would have liked, obviously, my father's name, just from a tradition perspective, Italian tradition. But he's still got a good name. So I'd like to talk about a couple of things. Last week I talked about a deal we were doing, and we were supposed to close on a given day, and it was taking a few days longer than it should have. And the attorney was getting all hostile on us for the seller, and he issued what was called time of the essence, which says basically, the clock is ticking now, and you only have X amount of days before you breach a contract. So Now, I had a situation this week where we were supposed to close and sell our four family in Belleville, and we had scheduled it for June 15th. We had a couple of things where it took a little bit longer because of the township and the buyer, you know, had to okay that, or had to prove it, not formally, but they had to accept it the way it was because it was the township. We weren't holding anything up. So that took a couple weeks, and then we said we're all clear, and we were waiting for them, and we didn't hear anything for a week, and then another week and a half. So then all of a sudden I'm like, what's going on? I ping the agent to say what's going on. She said she'd look into it. We still didn't hear anything, and it was like 2 approaching 3 weeks. Whereas my situation was on that given day we couldn't close, but we knew it was imminent. But the attorney was just giving us a lot of hell for no reason at all. Well, on the flip side, we always try to be, realistic and understanding. And we were waiting 2.5, 3 weeks. We didn't hear nothing. So now we had to issue a time of essence. So we sent the letter, and within like 2 hours, we got a response. So days before, we didn't get no response. We had to issue time of the essence, and they said, well, it wasn't because of the credit worthiness of the buyer, but because of the rent roll, and the mortgage company and their underwriting team was looking at it and had some questions and blah blah blah, but we're fairly close to, as they say, clear to close. So that's all we were waiting for, is just some statement from them, and we would have been more than understanding. But it was like a blackout basically, and we just heard crickets. So, unfortunately, we have to do these things to get some type of a response. And I expected some type of response as a result of that. Another situation that occurred that I've talked about previously is this one house that we did have some challenges with the attorney on, is the solar panels. So I pushed back on the solar company, and I spoke to a few people a couple weeks ago, and then this past week I called them again and said, the clock is ticking because I'm basically going to take those solar panels off, or you have to take them off within 30 days. That was about a week ago. I called again and says, well, now you have 25 days and you better take them off. And the one person that I was talking to said, no, you have to continue to pay the lease or buy out the solar panels. It was like $70,000. And I said, no, I think you got it wrong. I didn't sign the lease. It's on my house. And either we're going to renegotiate in terms of something more favorable for me, or you're taking them off. It's one of two things. He escalated. I spoke to an individual, and he says, well, why don't you just want to buy back the lease or just continue to pay? And I says, because it's extremely unfavorable, and you took advantage of this elderly couple. And he protested it, which I expected. And I says, listen, you could say anything you want. The issue is that the solar panels over time decrease in terms of their storing capacity, and as a result of it, more power needs to be pulled off the grid or from like the power company. In addition, every couple months or every couple years, you're raising the price on the lease. So I'm paying more per month, and also I have to take more off the grid as a result of it. So you're hitting me twice. And I said the buyout was extremely high, so you took advantage of them on that. Said they couldn't get any tax benefits as a result of it. I said, you took advantage of him every single way. And then he was saying that if you average it out, I said, don't give me any of that, please. And I was very stern with them on that. And he said, okay, what do you want? And I said that basically I get out a lease anytime I want. I could transfer the lease to a person that's going to buy this house eventually, and they don't have to qualify, and they could cancel anytime, and I want a more favorable monthly payment. And I said, okay. And he said, tell us what you want, and we'll see, based on what you want and what you're willing to settle with. And I said, well, what I want and what I settle with are going to be the same thing. I made it very clear, because what he was trying to say is, you're going to give me a number and then I'm going to give you a higher number and then we'll see if you could settle on that. And I made it very clear to him that was not going to be the case. And I said, send me an email and I'll tell you what I'm looking for. And he said to me, okay. Then again, he sent me something that's talked about tax credits, and I sent something back and said I stated before, and I looked it up again, and I still was correct. I cannot get tax credits because I don't own it. It's a lease. So we'll see where that goes. Right now, I got to take a commercial break, and I'll be back very shortly. But if you need to call us, please call us at 973-240-8593 or Templar Cash for Houses. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick. No high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Be sure to listen to the podcast of the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Find it now at TemplarBuysHouses.com.
Hello, welcome back to the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. My name is Joseph J. Zoppi, Managing Partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You can reach us at 973-240-8593. Again, 973-240-8593 or TemplarCashForHouses.com. That's Templar cashforhouses.com. That's one word. So one of the things I want to talk about is, which I brought up before, cryptocurrency. Now, as I said, it's extremely speculative. I beg everyone, do not use that as a regular, just pure investment strategy. It's too speculative. And right now it's trading at, Bitcoin is trading at $32,000, $34,000. It was up at 60,000, maybe 60 plus. And now it's down around, like I said, 62 or 32, 34,000. And who knows, there's probably a lot more downside. And you need to understand, and one of the things I did not like about it is that it's this individually grown monetary system. Now, the government, I figured at some point, is going to push back on it. You got to think of the government. I always think, I don't like big government because the government's like the mob. It's that simple, is that if you start horning in on their territory, they're going to push back because there's people of power and they want to keep the power and they want to keep control. It's that simple. So I hate big government. The smaller the better. And they're pushing back. And all the governments will do that. Now China, for one thing, started banning, cryptocurrency, and they started shutting down all these companies that are mining these bitcoins. And they said that, you can't be doing that anymore. But we do like cryptocurrency, but you're going to have to use our cryptocurrency. So again, it doesn't matter if it's a communist country or not. Again, they're pushing back. And the same thing occurred basically with the American government. Yeah, a few weeks ago, the Senate Banking Committee had hearings on the digital dollar, as it's called, and it was an exploration of basically the concept of centrally banked cryptocurrency for America. And while that occurred, there was individuals that were, calling, basically Bitcoin or all these other types of cryptocurrencies, bogus or they're fake, so on and so forth. Elizabeth Warren is one of them, Senator Warren. I don't agree with too much that she says, but I, to some extent, do agree with her on this. And I'm not big on crypto, period, even if it's centrally backed, just based on, the ability to kind of lose money if you forget passwords and things like that. And technically something could get hacked. Obviously, you get hacked inside the bank and stuff like that, but it's a little different. But right now, I'm still pretty negative on crypto compared to other people. I'm very conservative on this, and I really think people have to watch it. I think there's more downside than upside, especially on all these different platforms, especially with different governments pushing for their own centrally controlled coin platform. So I would not be surprised that in the future they ban it altogether. Who knows? You never know that. So I would just be really wary of it. There's a group of individuals that in South Africa that gave their money to some group of teenagers to invest their money into crypto, and now they disappeared, and they're looking for them, and I think they took the money and everything. So it's just very crazy, and there's it's the wild wild west with that, and you're really putting that money in terms of to being very speculative. I just can't say that enough. So just watch it, please. I always think of money and that you always got to protect that and build it conservatively or semi-conservatively. When our business, we are not technically a conservative business per se. Flipping houses, purchasing houses, doing that type of things is not technically conservative, but we mitigate a lot of the risk associated with it by the way we underwrite, so we reduce that considerably. That's why traditionally the cost of money for any person or any company in the acquisition and rehab of properties is expensive because there's a risk associated with it. Greater than someone purchasing a house and being in there for 10 years or 20 years, it's definitely going to go up in value. And as a result of that, the bank is protected or lending institutions protected. Whereas with a flip, a lot of things could go wrong if it's not managed correctly. I spoke to an individual today, he does landscaping, and he said to me, Joe, I was thinking about going into it, but there's so many factors and so many things you have to worry about in terms of costs and what you're going to sell it at, and it's not that simple. And I said exactly it. That is, it's not. Some people say it is. Some people say it's a slam dunk. It's not necessarily a slam dunk. It's like, how much do you invest and how much don't you invest? And that's the question. How much are you willing to pay to take that chance that it's going to go up in value based on what you're going to do in terms of making it look nicer, so on and so forth. Another thing I'd like to discuss is, in the beginning of my shows, always I say I'm a consumer advocate. So I'm a strong consumer advocate. I'm always helping individuals out, especially if there's some problems that occur. And one such issue is, I had a person that we had helped them sell their house through the traditional multiple listing service, and then we were also a buyer's agent, and we worked with them as a go-between, as a agent to for her to purchase a house. And everything went well for the most part, but there was like $1,000 that was in escrow, that there's a debate with the individual that purchased her house whether something was done or not done. And the person that bought the house is just being vindictive and doesn't want to approve or say anything in terms of what the issue is. And as a result, there's $1,000 of hers just laying out there that the seller, which we worked with her, and she can't get. And then there was another issue with something to do with the title, where she was supposed to get part of the rebate back, the homeowners rebate, and that too she can't get out. So, that stuck in my mind. I called her up. I said, you should, go to small claims court. And, she was thinking about it. And I said, listen, I'll back you 100%. I'll help you with the case. I'll help you fill out the forms. I'll review the documents. I have some additional supporting emails and everything else associated with that. And she was, oh, that's so nice. And she's going to do it. And, it's that simple, that we want to make sure that she's taken care of. And I could have just walked away and said, well, that's your problem. But that's not the way we do business, and that's not the way I do business. So she's going to be sending me a lot of information over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to look it over, change things, and then I'll go to court with her. It's simple as that, to support her, whether she needs me as a witness or not, just as some moral support. So that's going to be the case. And we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'll keep everyone abreast of that, but I won't let any of this go. It just, the buyer was just being vindictive and just cold and heartless. So I think I have to stand by my client, and working with her, and we're going to push through this. It's that simple. It's that simple. One of the other things I'd like to talk about, I only have a couple of minutes, it's mortgage life insurance. So with mortgage life insurance, you purchase this insurance, and basically if you pass away, the mortgage life insurance kicks in and will pay off your mortgage. Now, my father was a police officer, and he had that, and he always said to my mom, he says, if I die, the house is paid off, the kids are taken care of with that, and all you have to do is make sure you always pay your property tax. And he passed away at like 52, and I remember that, and the mortgage life insurance kicked in and paid off our house. So it was no burden on my mom or us. And I think she also got some life insurance. Now, you could always have life insurance and it'll pay off the mortgage, but this is specifically just for the mortgage. And it works out really well. And there's a lot of different options with it, but it's always something to think about. You know, you could have your life insurance and then augment it with mortgage life insurance. So it'll take care of the mortgage, and then you have what's left, you know, for your life insurance for just regular investments for the family. So, you know, think about that. I think it's a good alternative, and it's not as expensive as life insurance. And I think it depending on your age and stuff, it'll decrease as time progresses, if I'm not mistaken, because there's less and less that it'll have to pay off. But that's over a longer period of time. But I would definitely look into that, and it could really help your family. So I have to close out today. Thank you very much for everything. Again, if you want to give us a call us at 973-240-8593. Again, that's 973-240-8593 or TemplarCashForHouses.com. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless and take care.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick. No high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Be sure to listen to the podcast of the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Find it now at TemplarBuysHouses.com.
The preceding program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision.